Okay, for this project, you're going to need some tin foil and a really simple form of a toy. So here's some examples. So here are a couple of crayon molds that I made. You can see one is a rock mold, and then you can see the car and the Lego. Now, some of these didn't turn out as well as I did because I used where I put Play-Doh underneath, and then I put tin foil on top, and then pressed it into the Play-Doh and the tin foil. I'm going to try these again, but I'm just going to use tin foil. So here you see, like, if you try to grab with a big piece of tin foil and push it in, it's too big. And then also, if you push through, you might make a hole. So what I'm going to do here is make my tin foil smaller. Okay, so I have a tin foil about the size of my hand. Now my Lego is still really small in comparison to my tin foil, and if I try to scrunch it up, it's just going to be too much. So we're going to make our tin foil thicker. So I'm going to fold it once, and I'm going to fold it twice. So now it's about 3 times, well, I would say 4 times wider than my actual piece of Lego. Then I'm going to press it into the Lego so that I kind of have the Lego shape in, and it's kind of almost like a little Lego flower here. So I'm pressing against all of the sides, really pressing it around, but being careful not to rip my tin foil. But this is the other reason you fold your tin foil over, so it's nice and thick. So I want the little detail on the top of my Lego. So I'm going to use something soft. I'm going to grab a paintbrush here to just kind of push it in, but if it's not pushing in, you can also gently push with the end of your paintbrush and go in and gently push on it. In that detail. And it's not going to look exactly like a Lego because the tin foil, once you squeeze it in, gets wrinkly. So you kind of have like a wrinkly Lego crayon. But that's kind of fun because it's showing the process of you making the mold. It's showing the materials that it's coming from. So now I pulled my Lego out and I'm left with this shape here. Now be careful not to press it because if you press it, you're going to lose the mold that you just made. And artists use mold in lots of different things like glass making, ceramics. A lot of times they'll use other objects and they'll make a copy of it in the same kind of process, but a little bit different with materials. I'm going to add an extra piece of tinfoil on this just to be sure that I don't have any, that I didn't, in the process of getting that print, and I'm not getting any crayon that leaks through onto Mommy and Daddy's baking sheets. So that's one that I did. Now I'm going to try another closed form. And I made this before. I made a car. Now, if I use the bottom part with the wheels, that gets a little complicated. So I'm going to use the top. Again, I'm going to fold my tin foil over to make it stronger. I might want to get an extra piece here, but we're going to try it with this. So again, I'm going to squeeze the tin foil up, over, around. I don't want to completely cover it because if I completely cover my car, which I just did here accidentally, I'm going to smooth it out so I can get all those details of the toy, going gentle not to rip the tin foil. And when I get all that detail, I flip it over. I'm going to take my car out. But I made a mistake. I let my tin foil that, but that's okay. I can just gently pull it back so I can slide my car out. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here so you get the idea. I'm going to give a little bit of more tin foil because the thing is right now, if I take this out, it's going to be a little bit too flimsy for me. And also, if you notice when you take it out and you try to lay it flat, like I'm about to do here, this doesn't lay flat. So I think I'm going to add another layer of tinfoil. So I'm going to want to put the toy back in and add a layer of tinfoil here just to make it strong. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward here. So the last mold that I'm going to make now is a rock. I have my Lego, I have my car. I want to make a rock mold. And the reason why I thought of making a rock, and you can see my unsuccessful one, that's the pink and the yellow, where I tried to just kind of make a hole with a tin foil. I want to use an actual rock this time, and I think it'll be more successful having something to push into the tin foil. So I got an actual rock, and I used a rock because the tin foil has that crinkly texture, and I want to make the most out of that. So instead of having a smooth surface, I'm going to try to make my rock, my crayon rock, really textured rock. Now, I'm going to grab a smooth rock because it's just easier, but if you have a rock that's really textured, that's another way. And okay, so here I finished the rock mold, and I didn't like the way my rock turned out, so I'm going to reuse the crayon that I melted into the old crayon mold. And I'm going to do the same for these three to see if I get them to turn out better. Here I have put in the crayons, and this is the one where I used a little bit of Play-Doh as support. So that's another option, is you can put some homemade Play-Doh down, and the Play-Doh makes it easier, so when you're pressing in, you don't have to push the tin foil around for support. So now you can see that I put it in the oven, and I put it in for only a couple of minutes till it melts. And have an adult check on it till it's fully cooled, and then when it's ready, you can pop it out of the mold. Now, if you already have a silicone mold at home like this, you can make a crayon that way. Once it's cooled, you can pull the tin foil away and you have your crayon. Now the only unfortunate thing about this method, unlike normal methods like the silicone mold, is you lose your mold when you take the tin foil away. But you are left with a crayon that looks sort of like your toy. I hope you had fun watching. Make sure you have an adult to do this. I will leave details on the oven temp and estimated times, and also the link for making the homemade Play-Doh if you prefer to put the Play-Doh down and a little piece of tin foil on top and then press in that way. You will get more of the tin foil look to it if you do it with the Play-Doh, whereas if you do just the tin foil, you can pick up a little bit more of those details.